Good day and welcome to our podcast at Elevating Today. My name is Aakash, Patel and I'm the president and founder of Elevate Inc. We are a strategic business consulting firm helping companies in the Tampa Bay area learn, connect, and grow about their business. We started in 2012 with the mindset of highlighting and creating awareness for our customers, and our podcast is just one way to give back and share their experiences. I'm so excited about our guest today, Ben Pomales. You're going to learn so much about and him and Keystone Prep, his organization. At Elevate Inc., we want to make sure that our clients are happy as they meet and individuals that connect with them in the community. If you have any suggestions about our podcast, please send us an email at info@elevate-inc.com. You'll see the email here on your screen. And before we start our program, I want to highlight one of our clients, 5-Pack Creative. 5-Pack Creative is one of the most trusted names in mobile app improvement and development. They relocated here around the pandemic time and have worked with the most respected companies throughout the nation. We're so excited to work with them as they work with businesses and tweak their applications, improve customer satisfaction, and work with their experts from banking, healthcare, and maintenance. 5-Pack Creative, led by Jerry Beers, doesn't only believe in delivering high-quality work, but they also believe in creating an experience with their team that you can look forward to. They're committed to taking care of you throughout the whole process, and we're so excited to have them here in Tampa, and we will be featuring them in a future podcast. Again, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll get on to our program. Good day. My name is Aakash Patel, president and founder of Elevate Inc. We are a business consulting firm in Tampa, Florida, helping companies and businesses grow in the community. And we're so excited to have one of our clients and friends here today. If you're interested in our podcast, this is season 1, episode 12. Please let us know your thoughts, info@elevate-inc.com. I'm so excited to have our friend, Ben Pomales of Keystone Prep. Ben, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much. This is really cool.
Now, Ben, a lot of people have heard of a Keystone Prep. We're going to talk a little bit what that's like and what's going on at your facility. But talk about you. Where are you from and how did you get involved in education?
So I'm from Texas. So I got involved in education. It was actually my sophomore year in high school. I was setting up for a band concert, and I realized that I wanted to study music. I wanted to teach music.
And what were you playing, by the way?
Trombone at the time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You like challenges?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, slide instead of, pistons or keys or anything like that. Yeah, so it was really cool. It was a whole lot of fun. And I knew that it was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I loved music. I had a passion for helping, my classmates and my peers and, younger students, to develop their skills as musicians. And so went off to college, studied music.
Where'd you go?
Pensacola Christian College.
Okay.
So actually, not too far from here, over in Pensacola. Great education there, great program that really did a wonderful job of preparing me for...
So how does one go from Texas to Pensacola?
It was actually my dad. My dad was a Baptist minister at the time, learned about Pensacola, what they stood for, what they did, and, impressed upon us, his desires. We went over toward the school and just kind of fell in love with the environment and the atmosphere there, and so the rest is history.
So Pensacola, you finished your 4-year degree?
Yes, finished my bachelor's degree at Pensacola, went back to Texas, where my family was. My parents were there.
What part of Texas?
The Houston area. So we were actually outside of Houston, about an hour south in a little town called Angleton. That's actually where I graduated from high school. And so my first teaching job was in the district that I graduated from. My superintendent was my high school principal.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was really, really interesting. First teaching position was as an elementary music teacher. So my grandiose ideas of being a band director were kind of dashed on the rocks, and instead I helped little children, kindergarten through 5th grade, develop an interest and a love for music, and I had a great time there. But within weeks and months, I realized that teaching music was wonderful, but more importantly for me was helping my students to develop the lifelong skills and the character traits that would set them, on the path to success. And I just happened to use music to do it. And one of my mentors asked me if I'd ever thought about administration. And I hadn't really thought about it, but that was the bug that went into my ear. And so when the time came, I pursued, that advanced degree in educational leadership. And here I am today.
So you got your degree in educational leadership, and you stayed in Texas, or you came back to Florida?
I came back to Florida. So was teaching at another private school in the Houston area. My wife, at the time we were dating, she was here, and so I knew that that Tampa would be the area that I wanted to settle in. Learned about Keystone from one of the previous heads of school there. and really just fell in love with what they were doing, the work that they were doing, the students that they served, and knew that I wanted to get involved there. And so literally packed my bags at the end of one school year and accepted a position as Dean of Students at Keystone Prep, and that was 5 years ago.
Wow, that's quite a story. So a lot of people at home aren't sure the journey of Keystone Prep.
Yeah.
Talk about the foundation and where it came from, and since you took over, where you're at now.
Excellent. So Keystone started about 7 years ago. Actually, it's the second iteration of the school. And much like the first time around, it was a group of parents, predominantly out of Tampa Day School, that realized that there were not a lot of good options for some students that mainstream education could serve. They were concerned about some of their children, falling through the cracks, so to speak, of a larger public or private school, high school. And so they decided that they wanted to do something about it. And so these families banded together with the help of the leadership over at Tampa Day and put up their own dollars and cents to make Keystone happen. And they started, like I said, 7 years ago with about 40, 50 students. We're able to build enrollment up to mid-60s at the height about 4 or 5 years ago, and we've been running steady, now in the mid-40s for the last couple of years, and are really excited about the future and about the potential growth that we have as a school.
And you are for-profits?
No, we're actually a non-for-profit. So we are a 501c3 non-for-profit private school.
And you are located in Odessa, Florida, which is where?
That's correct. So we're Odessa, so north part of Hillsborough County.
Okay.
So you take the vets, you just shoot up north. You're going to run into Van Dyke and Lutz Lake Fern. We're really between the two of those, right off a gun highway. It's really hard to miss us. Big, beautiful building and about 41 acres of land. So.
And the land is owned by the school?
That is correct. So we own 40 some odd acres plus a 25,000 square foot gymnasium where the house is, where the school is actually housed. And we offer 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And
so, for parents out there who have children, all ages, that are thinking about, options. I was on a call with the superintendent of schools the other day, and he was saying, for Hillsborough County, he was saying the choices for neighborhoods, parents should have the right choice for their children. Everyone should have their individual choice, and completely agree. When parents are thinking about options, whether it's charter schools, whether it's all sorts of religious affiliated private schools, what sets Keystone Prep apart?
Really, it comes down to two things for us: small class sizes and individualized supports. We truly believe that education is not a one-size-fits-all. Having background in the public school system in Texas, and you know a little bit, you see a lot that goes on in the public school system. The wonderful faculty, the wonderful staff that are actually doing everything in their power to help their students succeed, help them be successful. But there are challenges. It's hard to do that when you have classes of 20, 25, 30 students. When you have students at a wide variety of ability levels. Well, what Keystone does and what we do differently is we keep our classes relatively small. Right now we're averaging, about 8 to 10 students per class. Wow. We really work with the previous schools, with our families, with any other individuals who do have experience and knowledge about what a student needs to be successful, to really create an individualized success plan. Those things that will help the student be successful. We by identifying strengths, weaknesses, and challenges, and then working together as really a family type group to help that student be successful both in the classroom and beyond.
So you're a headmaster now for 5 years. You plan, you're strategic, you have a great facility. You've obviously have to be competitive in the pay that you pay your administration and your teachers. And people, especially your students, need that individualized, personalized attention in person. And then March 2020 hits.
Yes.
What went through your mind?
Are we going to be able to make it? And that was something I think that a lot of private schools were facing, and a big question on all of our minds were, how is this going to impact us in terms of the enrollment? If our families can go and get the education, through different mediums, will they need us as the educational system to help them, provide for them and work with them and help them be successful, through, for those first months of the pandemic, which really were the last months of our school year. We went away for spring break and never came back.
Yeah.
We had literally 7 days to figure out how we were going to create and implement a distance learning program that was completely new, completely foreign to a lot of us in education. And so really we sat down and it was a lot of the questions that we tried to answer really started with, how do we ensure that we don't lose any students? And so for us, and it worked out very, very well, was we created a system where our students were Zooming, if I could use that phrase, Zooming from 8:30 until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So they met every class teacher every single day for 45 minutes. Then we have a 15-minute break. And then we would just did that day in and day out through the end of the semester. And it worked very well. We were able to minimize, gaps in knowledge. We were able to minimize the negative impact that being away from the teaching staff had on the students. Do the best we can to create opportunities for socialization. We even had a virtual prom, which was really, really fun. Our kids still dressed up. There was a DJ. They appointed one of the students to kind of provide the music, and really it was just a wonderful little opportunity for them to socialize. And some of the teaching staff actually got involved. Attended the virtual prom.
I'm sure the kids loved that.
They did. It was interesting. Actually, I was on it. As was my wife, and she also teaches over at the school.
Yeah.
We did not dress up, and so they got really upset with us that we did not dress up for the virtual prom. And so we kind of felt bad. Said, well, let us go and get dressed up. And they're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. But really just trying to do the best we could to maintain the level of socialization, the level of interaction with our students.
So parents right now are thinking through a process of the future of education,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you just said it. If you're Zooming all day, then one of the things we learned in the hurricanes incidents we had a couple of days ago is you don't have to make up those days anymore because you can just do it virtually. Where is you as your education background? What is the future of education?
The future of education is still students in direct contact with that teacher. It just makes more sense for the students to be in a classroom or in some type of setting with that person face-to-face just like us. Yes, there are so many things that you can do virtually. There are so many things that you can implement and create as supplemental material, but there is nothing quite like getting that student in the same space with that teacher. One of the things that we love to do at Keystone is really create student buy-in and student-led discussion. Well, oftentimes if you're Zooming, there's limitations with connectivity. There could be things going on in the background that are impacting and negatively affecting that student's ability to pay attention and to focus and be completely involved in and absorbed with what's happening. So having that classroom, having that controlled environment still is so beneficial and so necessary for our student population. Plus, one of the things that we've seen is, you send out some information. Obviously there's a lot of material that goes along with education. It's not just a teacher or a student just sitting there having a discussion and a dialogue. There needs to be supplemental material, things for the students to work on, whether it's individually or collaboratively as a group. And we've even seen, some challenges with being able to get these materials over to the students. The textbooks, for example, is a great example of this. What do you do when you need to get a text over to a student, and that's working, virtually? A lot of these families aren't going to be able to purchase that textbook and have their own textbooks at home.
Right.
That can get very expensive. So for us, we had to create times and schedules for families to come pick books up and, check them out. And so, when they come into the classroom, everything is there. And it deepens the understanding, it deepens the knowledge, and of course, there's that ever-important socialization aspect that we saw students really suffering through the pandemic. And that's one of the mental health pieces. One of the figures that came out was 1 in 4 students through the pandemic strongly consider or even thought about suicide.
All right.
Which was such a travesty. It's such a terrible thing, and oftentimes we forget that one of the things that educational environments create is opportunities for students to engage with and socialize with their peers.
So in March, you went away for spring break, and then of course you had to gather during this summer-ish and start again in the fall. So what changes did you implement on your campus to make sure you were COVID ready?
Excellent question. And really it boiled down to us, looking at what state, our local, state, and federal agencies and organizations, gave to us and said, these are the things that you need to do. Obviously we required masks and face shields, temperature checks for all of our students, for our faculty, for our staff, for guests and visitors coming into the building. We built partitions in our classrooms to separate the students, to create a barrier between them. We knew that we still wanted them to be able to engage and interact, but in a safe way. We did the best we could to create as much space between our students as possible, whether they're in the classroom or in the gymnasium or walking through the halls, just to continually remind them that, hey, social distancing, is the best way that we can make sure that we are able to be here and be safe. We created a whole host of guides and policies that we sent out to all of our families so that they completely understood what happened between passing periods, what happened at lunch, what happened in the event that you got sick, whether it was COVID or not. If you came into contact with somebody that did test positive for COVID-19, what were the steps, what were the processes that you as a student needed to go through, just to make sure that we had clear procedures in place.
And every organization has a leadership team. You've got a great board chair, Michael Thiel, who's a client and a guest
Yes.
we had on the podcast. And one of the things that he impressed me when he said that every student who wants to go to Keystone Prep has found the financial assistance from your organization.
That's correct.
A lot of organizations are going through some tough patches in fundraising.
Very much so.
What are your current needs, and how can business leaders that are watching today that want to support Keystone Prep, how can they help?
That's an excellent question, and they can reach out to us first and foremost. We have specific needs, whether that is scholarship funds. We have a lot of students that want to attend Keystone, that the parents and the school understand that this environment is the right fit for them. And we say that we never want financials to get in the way of a student being able to attend Keystone. And the way that we do that is through the generous donations and giving of individuals, organizations. It costs about $26,000 to educate a student at Keystone Prep High School. Our tuition is $18,500. So we, as an organization, through a lot of endeavors, try to really fund that gap and make sure that we can keep Keystone affordable for the families that need it. So if we're talking about a specific way, financially, that's going to be one of the biggest things that allows Keystone to continue to do what it does so well, so effectively. Having those funds that we can allocate to students, and make the tuition, more appropriate or attainable for some of these families is key. The way that I look at it, $20,000, $20,000, that educates one student for an entire academic year, which is a really cool thing. And we have a lot of individuals who believe in what we do, and they put their money, where that is, and they benefit the school in a tremendous way.
How many students are currently enrolled, and how many would you like to have enrolled?
Currently, we have 43 students enrolled at Keystone Prep High School, and we really would love to be at around the mid-60s, 65, 66, 70 students. We know that having that number will still allow us to do the things that we do, offer those small class sizes, make sure that we're able to still individualize the supports, but will also give us enough resources to provide some additional support, some additional things to our students.
You mentioned your wife works there too, and she's got a couple different roles.
She does. She wears many hats. So she is our art teacher. So she teaches for half the day. So she has 3 class periods that teaches, and she's also our director of admissions. So she meets and interviews every family that walks through the door. She gives them a tour, of the school, and then she is really that point person in terms of making sure that Keystone is affordable. So before we ever sign on the dotted line, so to speak, she's probably put in 10, 15, 20 hours of FaceTime and emailing back and forth with these families just to make sure that we understand what their needs are, what they're looking for, and that Keystone is the right fit.
So a lot of business people that are watching this, they're entrepreneurs. They've seen startups, and they start seeing organizations go great. Some don't make it.
Yes.
But they all have challenges in their personal and professional lives. If someone's asking you today for advice, especially because you work with your spouse, how do you balance personal and professional in a career that's education? I mean, what is your strategy? Because you've succeeded. You're both working together, and you're both doing great, and the school's thriving, and it's under your leadership. So what's your secret to success?
Yeah. It's nothing unique to me. It's a lot of listening, and it's a lot of learning from those that have come before. Picking up on different things, and for me, it's doing the best that I can to balance my work life with those things that kind of feed my soul. I guess is the best way that I can describe that. Obviously, we talked a little bit about my background in music. So I'm still involved in music. I still play. Guitar, no longer the trombone. That went the way of the dodo, so to speak. But for me, it's finding that time to do things that I am passionate about, that I love. For example, this year I have a couple of students that were really interested in learning to play the guitar. So every Friday from 3:30 to 4:30, I block out an hour, and we have a guitar club. So we get together, we talk rock and roll, we talk guitar, technique, teach them how to play, read music, guitar theory, music theory, the whole shebang. And for an hour, it's just getting back to something that is just therapeutic for me. And that really helps propel me into the next week, understanding that I have those outlets for things that just feed my soul.
So how many times have you seen the movie Mr. Holland's Opus?
I've seen Mr. Holland's Opus probably half a dozen times. That scene at the very end when they all get together and it's for him, like
the governor's a student, right?
Sitting there playing the clarinet. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Goals.
It's a great movie. That's what I think of you. I think that's going to be a scene in the future. So I want to talk about the future because that is important. You talked about 43 students now.
Yes.
And how many you want is, you said 60?
Really, we need about 60 students, 65 students, this year, next year, kind of a situation. We're really looking to grow. We're very excited. We've done a lot this year, more than we've done in any other year, to really help create some buzz and some awareness that Keystone is here, in the Tampa Bay community. We're serving students, we're changing lives. And there has been a marked improvement and increase in inquiries, that awareness, and it's wonderful. For us, we're looking at, within the next 3 years to be able to build our enrollment to not just a 65, but to hopefully double that, 100, 120 students. We want to be able we want to be at a situation where we have to go out and build additional classrooms. We want to outgrow our space for the simple fact that we have such a profound mission. Our goal is to help students, thrive academically, emotionally, and socially as we prepare them for college and the workforce. So our goal is to create those positive contributing members of society. And how awesome would it be for us to be in a situation where we're busting at the seams?
Right.
We're growing, and we need more classes. We need more teachers. So that's really what we're looking for, and we're excited that the steps that we have taken are heading us in that direction.
So 5 years from now, is Keystone going to be K through 12?
5 years from now, I think Keystone will probably still be a 9 through 12.
Okay.
With the prospect of, within that 3 to 5 year time period, possibly joining forces with some other organizations, some other schools here in the area. I'm not going to say that it's not a possibility that we would be a K through 12. We do want to grow, and we understand that the mission that we have, it's not something that is unique to high school students. It's something that is definitely translatable to middle school students and elementary students. And I would love to see, one day, get out of my truck, get out of my car, walk into a building and see everything from, pre-K students, wearing the Keystone logo, talking about, our mission and our vision and our values, all the way up through those middle school and high school students, having those juniors and seniors in high school pouring into the lives of the younger students, remembering what it was like for them, and how they can become a positive force within the school and then beyond.
Yeah, we're putting some pictures right now on the screen of some images you shared about the school and some of the students and some of the teachers. But I wanted to, close out with, you're always looking for new board of directors, and board of directors don't necessarily have to mean they have to be parents of the students.
Correct.
And I think that's something that I didn't know until Michael interviewed here on the show.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any kids at the school, but he has a passion, just like you do,
yes,
for giving back. So there are business people that own companies that have some time, that have some means, that are watching right now, that might want to be on the board? What are you looking for?
We're looking for any individuals that are willing to give of their time, their talent, or their treasure. You know, we understand that there are going to be individuals that have resources that they want to get involved for the simple goal of helping Keystone grow physically, in space, and in students, and they have the means to help make that happen. You know, we need individuals who have business acumen, who can come in and help us tell our story, market the school, you know, create that awareness, do it the right way. And then also we need individuals who understand that while we're a business, we're also a school with an incredibly important mission. And that, you know, to understand how those two sides of that coin, you know, operate in concert to help the school, you know, meet that mission of helping students thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. And so I would say if there's anyone interested in partnering with the school or helping the school or joining the school, just please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to take that call.
Well, Ben Pomales, head of school at Keystone Prep, we're going to go ahead and put your email, your website, all on the screen now.
Excellent.
But we at Elevate Inc. have really enjoyed working with you and your team, and of course, your much better half, Gabby. Please tell her I said hello.
She's amazing.
And your entire board of directors. We appreciate what you're doing, and we're going to hopefully have you back on the show, and maybe we will do the show at Keystone Prep next time.
That would be really cool. So thank you guys so much for having me. This was such an honor, unique experience. So thank you guys.
No problem. Aakash, Patel, Elevate Inc., thank you so much for watching episode 12, season 1. Have a great day.